Hey guys, and so welcome back. Instead of jumping straight into NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Special Edition, what we're going to do is we're going to go take a look and see what the settings are like. The thing about this is that I actually hadn't looked at this beforehand, and now that I'm looking at this, I'm a little bit embarrassed. So you can do your diagnostics tests, your coin bookkeeping and stuff. We don't care about that. Game audits, we don't care so much about it. Game adjustment is what we want to look at here. So we do have the standard pricing on there. We don't have free play on. We can turn on player head size to large if we really want. Let me know if you want to do that. The drone difficulties at just the factory settings, we're going to keep that the same. Game timer speed's the same. We're going to do the same as normal for credits. If you play a 4-player game, you get a free win. I remember that in the arcade actually, although I don't remember ever playing that. But this is the important part, which is that apparently we had computer assistance turned off, so factory settings are set to disabled. So we decided to probably keep that disabled. I am, however, temporarily going to enable tournament mode so that there's no cheating. We're going to do that for now until probably we finish the game, and then after we finish it, of course, we'll turn it off so we can go do the Kerry Hopkins thing and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I put attract mode sound on. That's the whole reason why I went into this. Idiot boxes are off. That's by default in Special Edition. The expanded roster is off for now. I think you have to win. You have to win here to get to that. We can turn fatalities on, which is something I do want to do, so you'll see what that's like. We're not going to do baby side players. We're not going to do max power mode. We're not going to do show shot percentage. Those are all sort of different cheats you can do. Now, if you're not used to MAME, this is kind of what you do. You push tab and you go over and you change, the sort of settings, and you can change back and all that stuff. What it's doing is it is emulating you actually literally pushing the test switch on the arcade machine, which is pretty cool. It's cool that you can do this stuff, here. As you can hear now, we have like a difference in terms of the sound, right? There will actually be like sound in the attract mode and stuff like that at the beginning of the game, which is pretty nice and which is different than what we had beforehand. So now we've got all that set up again. If you don't like that, my apologies. You can actually download it and go mess around with it yourself if you don't like what I've done. So there you go. That's what we're going to do here from now on out. And you can see right there it said tournament mode, no secrets. So no secrets it is. Let's go over and let's beat... Who are we playing again today? I haven't even looked this up. For a while I was thinking, I should do a big thing at the beginning to do like an intro. Oh yeah, that's right, we're playing Golden State. And like set the scene and all this stuff. And yeah, we're not exactly doing that now. Anyway, so I feel kind of embarrassed not really playing that well with computer assistance off. I thought the computer assistance was on the whole time. No wonder we were able to occasionally win by like 10 points or whatever. So anyway, there you have it. See, that's what this channel is all about. We're all about transparency. And if you're used to watching like my videos, like videos where I will say the name of certain colleges incorrectly and stuff, you know that I'm not, relying on, artificial intelligence to do the work for me, right? I mean, there is no AI that's being used in any of these videos. It's not AI playing this game, right? My voice actually does belong to me, right? We're not using 11 labs. We're not putting out a whole bunch of slop. How is that not a 3? That's right. They had Chris Webber. Get that out of here. Good times. And Mullen was the other guy that they had. That's right. These are the sort of guys who honestly normally I would never have heard of, but because of the emphasis on the NBA at that time, and also because of games like NBA Jam, we all know who these guys were. This is the reason why, at least I think, why in the 90s it felt like every single NBA team had, 1 or 2 star players, is because you're playing NBA Jam, you're playing with all of them. You have to know who all these guys are. Especially if you're playing with your friend and you're trying to figure out who to control. Anyway, so that's the beauty of NBA Jam. As I have been teasing the whole time, we are going to do an actual like simulation on this channel, not with a video game. We're going to play a basketball sim coming up really soon. It'll make Rod from Rod's Tabletop Hoops very, very happy to know that we're going to do a major project with the Hoops basketball game. I have it set up. I've been teasing this for a while. What I need to do is I need to do the research into original newspapers and stuff so I can start making like teasers at the beginning of the video and stuff to try to attract people. It's going to be different. It's going to be different than doing any of this other stuff. There are all sorts of like different types of games out there that you can, you know, play with and you can use. But there are reasons why I want to do this with hoops. That was ridiculously bad, by the way, by Michael Jordan. He's having one of those days, huh? But now he's doing okay. 19 to 18 after the first quarter. That's it, right? We only need one quarter. That shows that we win the game. So I hope things are going okay for you guys. I know I talk about it all the time. It is so cold out there right now that it's kind of crazy. Like it is literally like way below freezing, and it's going to be below freezing like forever. And like we have this over here in Northern Virginia, we have this like snow ice mix that feels like concrete, and it's very, very concerning. It's not much fun to drive, I'll tell you that. So that right there, there's your fatality. Turning fatalities on does that. It makes it so that when you're on fire and you knock guys down, they catch on fire. Which actually is a really cool idea, and it's something that, you know, should have remained in NBA Jam. But after they tested it out in the first two versions of Tournament Edition, which are the test versions, they took it away. The NBA was kind of upset about, you know, that happening. The NBA was also upset that you had like, you know, like the King Kong guy or whatever his name was. You have like Elvis, and I think they made them take Elvis out. Yeah, the NBA was not much fun back in those days. Right, you know, because it was absolutely imperative that the NBA do everything that it could to, like, you know, make it so that this game was as realistic as possible, right? Bro, Scotty, you gotta knock him down. There you go, take it. This was kind of a weird period of time, by the way, for sports. I was thinking about that the other day. It was not too long before this that you know, Upper Deck had come out with like the Comic Ball series and stuff. You remember those cards? Those baseball cards, at least at first. I think that they may have done some basketball cards as well. But at first they were baseball cards that featured Looney Tunes characters and Major League Baseball players, right? This is like totally wacky idea that they had, right? Before too long you had Space Jam come out, of course, which is very, very famous, which I know that all of you have seen, which was, you know, basically Michael Jordan plus a bunch of other NBA players and, you know, going around beating up aliens and stuff like that, and through the game of basketball and stuff. Like, you had a lot of this stuff happening in the NBA and around the NBA at that time that you just don't see anymore these days. I mean, I know they had the new Space Jam with LeBron. I didn't go watch it because why? But you don't have that sort of like playful feeling anymore, right? It just doesn't. It's not the same as it was. These days, everybody wants to take everything so seriously. You know, nobody really wants to have fun with it. Anyway, this is fun. I say as I end up getting knocked over and giving up a dunk. They have Hardaway, and that's what's going on. Yeah, that's bad defense on my part. But there's no better defense than a good offense. Something like that. People have commented about Goro. Yeah, Goro there in the background, and for this version is in all of these games. I don't know why he's there. My understanding is that this special edition was made up of all sorts of things that were actually like assets that were in NBA Jam, like in the source code or whatever. And so apparently Goro was in the game somewhere, which is why they have him in here. It doesn't really matter. He's never a playable character. It's just that you can stick him, I guess, over in the crowd. The other cool thing, by the way, if you're young and you don't remember this, the 3 logo right there is Mortal Kombat 3. The funny thing is that, like, they didn't even have to, like, tell anybody that it was Mortal Kombat. Like, everybody knew what that was back in those days. Like Mortal Kombat is one of those elements of American culture that like it's kind of hard to explain if you weren't there, right? Oh man, we're so close. All right, we better get it going here. If we don't get it going here, we're gonna play them again. That's the other thing. We're gonna do 2 games here today again. So you get rewarded for sticking with it. Although most of the time is not spent up with gameplay, most of the time is spent with me trying to change the settings. Yeah, that's more like it. Anyway, the other nice thing that's going on here on this channel is that I finally figured out how to actually play Team USA basketball. And it's just in time for us to get to the knockout round. That game is what it is. That's all I can say about it. Like, one of the reasons why NBA Jam became so big is because all of the basketball games before it were kind of crappy. Especially that EA Sports game. So that was an interesting thing right there, right? The reason why that guy caught on fire when Pippin pushed him and not me is because since I'm on fire, it like counts for both of us in some sense. That's also why it remains on fire when Pippin grabs the rebound. And I timed that wrong. Anyway. There we go. I'm liking our chances. I'm not liking our chances anymore. That was pretty bad. I was actually telling him to pass it to me, but it's all right. It's all right. If he's gonna make the shot, he can make the shot. Yeah, Pippin can be the star once in a while. I mean, even Batman would let Robin do something good once in a while, right? Oh shoot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Robin. That's your fault. All right, well, you know what this means. We're gonna do it again. Yeah, Pippin, I gotta put the blame on you. Only 6 points, man. You gotta step up your game. Anyway, it was all right. I thought that we had a chance there going into halfway through the 4th quarter, but it just wasn't to be. So we gotta keep trying here. If we lose this one, though, we'll wait till tomorrow to try again. I'm not gonna bore you by playing the same team like over and over and over again. All right, good times. Good times, man. Great game. Like, the thing to know about Mortal Kombat is that it was sort of like this period of time in the 90s where everybody was doing stuff that was, you know, violent, and it was like, you know, inappropriate and all of that stuff. Right, this is around the time, like, when Mortal Kombat first came out. It's before Doom had come out on the PC, but it's right around the same time. You know, so you had people playing like Wolfenstein 3D. If you haven't played that game, I don't know what to tell you. You know, so you're running around Germany like shooting Nazis and stuff like that. You had people playing, you know, there were games like User Shoot Larry out there and stuff like that that had all sorts of, you know, innuendo and stuff like that. And, you know, you had a lot of games that were sort of like that were kind of like trying to push, you know, things to the edge. You know, even Street Fighter 2 to an extent was kind of like that. Although Street Fighter 2 didn't have any of like the blood. I mean, Mortal Kombat, what it did is it sort of took that concept and then added in just like all sorts of like gratuitous violence. And so that's really what that was all about, and why that was such a massive, phenomenon in this country. As time went on, people just became more and more like enamored with, those types of games, and with, not just like necessarily blood and guts type violence stuff, but, stuff that was, I don't even know if I would say necessarily like counterculture, just sort of like the stuff that, you're not supposed to do, you're not supposed to see, you're not supposed to know, or whatever. And so eventually that spread out into other fields. This is why, for example, if you follow wrestling, you end up with the so-called Attitude Era. Now, when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I didn't watch mainstream wrestling. I used to watch ECW, right? We could get that on UHF at 11 o'clock at night on Saturdays. And so that's what I would pay attention to. When I go back and I watch, I have the whole copy of, or I have the whole collection of, tapes and digitized stuff and all of that. How did he block that? But when I go back and I look at that and I watch it, I can remember that, yeah, there was a big thing back then where like cool culture was about like, doing stuff that, was just like you weren't supposed to do, you weren't supposed to say this, right? So you get like the guy on TV in your wrestling show who's like trying to get away with saying like certain obscenities and stuff like that. And, I mean, yeah, that's just the way the things were back then, and the things that people really were kind of paying attention to in youth culture. And you can see that in a lot of different places too. So like, for example, a couple of years ago, I was kind of heavily into watching channels like Alpha Investments. I know Rudy would talk a lot about Magic the Gathering, and he would talk a lot about the feeling behind old Magic and stuff like that. Like the feeling was that sort of like counterculture feeling. That's what it really was. If you weren't alive in the mid-90s, you probably don't like fully understand it. But Magic was one of those games where like there would be things on it that you're like, oh geez, I'm not supposed to see this, or I'm not supposed to think about this, or whatever, including stuff that was very politically incorrect, including stuff that was extremely sexualized and stuff like that. And the reason why it was popular is because it was just sort of the thing that people did, right? It was kind of cool, and it was kind of like the cool thing to do to get into stuff that was like honestly kind of antisocial in a way, right? Like there's that card, what is it called, Earthbind or something like that, which has like the lady who's basically in bondage or something like that. You would get stuff like that back then in the 90s because it was just sort of what I guess you would call the cultural zeitgeist of the time, where everybody was trying to do stuff that was kind of, at least somewhat counterculture, and, I don't know, so sort of like really punk rock of them, I guess, to like want to do something that's just totally different and is going to get people like freaked out and all that stuff. I guess you could think of it as kind of like the G.G. Allin period of American culture, because that's kind of what it was. It's a bunch of guys doing like totally crazy stuff, and your favorite video game involves you like ripping the guy's spine out and stuff like that, or whatever. Right, your favorite game ends up being Doom, which is about running around with like these massive weapons, and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's kind of where that stuff came in. If you're young, actually if you're young, you're probably not watching this, but if you're younger and you don't remember that time, you're kind of wondering about it. That's kind of what was going on. There was this sort of general thing in society, to the point where if you read like video game magazines from, I don't know, like 1993, 1994, you'll see it in the advertising. Right? There was a lot of sort of this like in-your-face type ads, stuff like that. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. It was a pretty interesting time to be alive and to live through. You can also see the same thing if you spend time watching like television. So I have tons and tons of sports games available, and a lot more that I need to upload over on my Patreon. If you watch stuff like I was watching old Philadelphia Phillies games from 1993, you can see in the commercials that there was this like, sort of like extreme type, I don't know, like feeling to it or whatever. Like everybody's trying to like, change society around and do something totally different and be wild and all this other stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's all based on my memories, though. I'm telling you, when you and I are really old guys and we're sitting around in the nursing home, or we're talking about stuff, we're going to be talking about like NBA Jam. We're going to be talking about like Tecmo Super Bowl and, you know, games like this. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking and reminiscing about this and talking about how kids these days just don't understand how it was. And that's really, I hate to say it because I get into debates all the time, but when you see those debates about, you know, was Jordan better than LeBron and stuff, that's what I think of. You know, we're just a bunch of old guys in a nursing home talking about, you know, talking about this kind of stuff. Dude, Scotty, you gonna shoot it? You gonna dribble away from the basket when you were wide open? Give me that ball. You think you can take my ball, huh? There we go. That's a little bit more like it. I don't know. Was that the right decision or not? I guess we'll find out in a second. Dude, Scotty, what are you doing, bro? Out of his range. Oh, baby. So close. Alright. Let's see if we can beat this. So one of the problems with NBA Jam and trying to like revive this series and stuff is that you can't really put the magic back in the bottle. You know, once it's out, like no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to come up with a game that was, you know, as impressive as this one was when it was first released, right? I mean, it's just, there's no possible way to like kind of get that going again. Part of the problem, of course, is that, I mean, this game came out at like just the right time, right? It was right after like the Dream Team. It was after there's all this attention on the NBA, you know, came out during that All-Star game, you know, that was really popular. I've talked about it before, but the 1993 NBA All-Star game is probably the best NBA All-Star game in history, right? Because the teams actually were trying and played defense and like, you know, like, there was like hard fouls and stuff like that, you know. I love how I got that on the floor. How many times do you see that in the NBA where a guy's on the floor and so they pass it to him and he gets up and isn't charged for traveling, you know. Probably about as much as you see plays like that. You see, this is what 90s basketball was like, man. The guy's going up for a dunk, so you like shove him over to the 5th row. Oh, geez, we're in trouble. Crap. And so much of this game is random. That's my excuse. It's just too random, right? I would normally win every single game, but it's the randomness that's getting me off. Get back here. Bad decision. We used to say this stuff, by the way, when we would play on the playground, we would play basketball, we'd say this all the time, you know, puts up a brick, you know, and stuff like that. Can't buy a bucket. And a lot of the Tim Kitzrow announcing style in this game is... oh, get in there! Ah, man! It's all a play off of Marv Albert and what he would say on NBC, a lot of this stuff. All right. We're not giving up yet. Man, we got a lot of extra basketball here for you today. You should be grateful. All right, there we go. Now we're taking this seriously, right? Good job, Scotty. There you go. See, that's a normal Michael Jordan move, right? You like penetrate, fake penetrate twice, you know, and get your defender off balance, and then you take the shot. Thank you, Scotty. That's the thing. That was a Utah Jazz style pick, right? Pick and roll. We used to see that all the time, right? You're going to set a pick, and you set a pick by like taking the guy and knocking him to the floor. That's the way you do it. Thank you, Scotty. Oh, shoot. Scotty, you got to hold on to the ball. They didn't even knock him over. He just like gave him the ball. Alright, we're in trouble, man. It would be really embarrassing to lose twice to this team. Alright, well at least we've tied it, so we're going to keep it close. Man. Should have had a hand in his face. Oh, man. I tell you, the Hardaway's defense is just totally eating me alive, man. Every time I turn around, it's Hardaway coming after me. Crap. No, man. No luck. We lose again. Anyway, there you have it. So it looks like next time we play this, we're going to be playing against Golden State once again. I wound up with 75 points, only 2 points for Pippen. See, that's the big problem, right? We couldn't get him to shoot much, and that was 1 for 6 from 3, so it was a bad idea to go for those threes. Man, they were 5 for 5 from three-point range, so that does it. Anyway, good game, 2 good games. We did a good job knocking them over, but still haven't done it. So now we're at 14-7, and I don't think it's telling me that I'm top 10 anymore or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. So there you have it. That was a close game to lose and a little bit frustrating. But there you go. That's all in the joy of playing NBA Jam. So anyway, I hope you're having a good day. You can hear the heater on now in the background, that high whistling sound that drives me nuts. So it is. Hope you're having a good day and hope it's not too cold. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye.